Hi, welcome to our channel. For today's video, we will recap an action sci-fi film called Battleship from year 2012. The plot revolves around warships that are forced to battle against highly advanced alien ships in order to thwart their destructive goals. Have you seen this movie yet? If not, grab some popcorn and enjoy. NASA sends out a strong signal from a communications array in Hawaii in 2005 upon discovering Planet G, an extrasolar planet with conditions similar to Earth. The satellite sends out a signal into space, and the entire world watches as mankind takes the first step toward reaching out into our solar system. We are then shown Alex Hooper, a U.S. Navy officer who's in talk with her girlfriend Samantha about meeting her father. But this is something that would unnerve anyone, as her father Terrence is a high-ranking admiral in the U.S. Navy. Alex also manages to be late for their first meeting in the opening ceremony of the naval exercise, leaving Terrence disappointed in his tardiness. It turns out that the man has a persistent habit of being undisciplined, and the slacker gets warned to get his position in the Navy taken away. Meanwhile, Samantha is assigned a client named Mick, who was a colonel in the U.S. military until losing both of his legs in combat. Samantha tries to impart an alternative perspective to the man, who is deeply depressed by his inability to function as a soldier. She invites him to walk with her on the island where the observatory is situated and makes an effort to reassure him that he is still the same man he was in the past. A massive asteroid that is passing Jupiter is moving towards Earth and eventually breaking into 5 parts. The asteroids are exhibiting what seems to be a formation, which suggests a distinct pattern that made the Department of Extraterrestrial Contact worried about the approaching objects. The scientists at an observatory in Hawaii quickly get notified. The remaining spacecraft continue to fly in the direction of the Pacific Ocean, but one of them collides with a satellite and veers off course. When Samantha spots 4 objects in the sky, they fall on the ocean, sending enormous waves crashing into the sea. One of the spaceships crashes in the busy city of Hong Kong, terrifying its people. After sampling the object, the Chinese discover that the material is a foreign one from space that could be a communication device based on its design. Terrence also gets alerts from Pearl Harbor regarding foreign objects in the area, but nothing shows up on the radar when he checks. For everyone's safety, he wants to find out about the battleship and sends 3 battleships to investigate. Alex and his brother Stone are on one of the ships. Alex touches the machine's exterior wall, but the shockwave causes him to be flung backward and into the sea. After assisting their friend right away, the group observes that enormous laser beams are being directed skyward, appearing to surround the region like a shield. Upon witnessing this, the admiral attempts to get in touch with the crews inside, but discovers that their radios are getting blocked by an interference. The entire Navy is essentially blocked from the outside of the radius when a fighter aircraft attempts to breach the force field and explodes as it comes into contact with the barrier. The Navy looks on in shock as massive battleships start to emerge from under the surface. When the aliens respond to Stone Hopper, Sansom's commander, sounding the horn to warn the ships, they smash through glass and stun everyone with a tremendous sonic boom. Stone gives the order for John Paul Jones to fire a warning missile at an extraterrestrial. It misses the spacecraft and causes the other side to fire back. The ship makes an attempt to stop the approaching missiles, but one of them lands on board and explodes. Alex decides to shoot the aliens after noticing that their ships are being targeted, but their strikes against the enemy are ineffective. Stone gives the order to fire, but their weaponry is all in disarray, and their guided missiles could not properly lock on the target. Though the Samson makes every effort to deflect enemy missiles, one hits their anti-missile system and completely destroys it. The aliens keep firing and hit the battleship many times. This causes a massive explosion that kills everyone within, including Stone, while his brother looks on helplessly. When Alex returns to the John Paul Jones, he finds that all of the senior officers have died, leaving him as the only one left in command. Alex demands to go back to the ship and engage the alien spacecraft. In an attempt to support Alex, the Japanese warship Myoko, under the leadership of Captain Nagata, fires back at the enemy. However, the aliens respond with many grenades and destroy the ship with a massive explosion. Alex instructs their ship to approach the aliens despite the overwhelming odds, with the intention of ramming into them to exact revenge on behalf of his brother. As the ship Myoko is swiftly sinking, the crew informs Alex that it is suicide and that they should prioritize saving the drowning people. He is reminded by Walter to first save the remaining survivors of the 2 ships and set aside his grief from his brother's death. The aliens have surprisingly stopped firing as well after witnessing the warship turn away. However, when another vessel departs the vicinity, the enormous object in the ocean starts to assemble several shredding machines and fires them towards the harbor. Before obliterating everything in their path, two of the Shredders advance toward the military base and commence dismantling all the weaponry there. By bringing down the bridges, the third machine reaches the city and destroys the entire roadway network. When Alex gets to Mayoko, he rushes to help as many people as he can, but is taken aback by the chaos around him, and Nagata yells at him angrily for hitting Rochelle. Samantha sees the extraterrestrial ship approaching the island and landing within the observatory as it prepares to take over. The two are observed by the police, who advise them to leave the island since they are in the combat zone. Despite Samantha's objections, Mick chooses to confront the aliens rather than turn back. At the same time, the John Paul Jones crew saved an alien that was drowning in the seas by capturing it. When they remove the creature's helmet, they are startled to discover a humanoid that looks very similar to a human. Alex is suddenly grabbed by the extraterrestrial, who uses his telepathy to connect with him and reveal the history of wars in his world. Everyone is knocked to the ground by an explosion that erupts on the outer walls, and as the people are disoriented, many more aliens approach to save their companion. Alex and his allies dash into the ship when they realize that another alien has stayed behind to tamper with their weaponry. Walter sees the extraterrestrial breaking down the door and going inside. As the thing starts to inspect the weaponry, the man tries to stop him but is flung away by an invisible wall. Alex shows up and tries to fire at the alien, but the armor negates the effect of the weapons, and the thing soon dispatches the squad by bringing them one by one to the ground. After thinking of a plan, he orders Cora to run to the weapon room while he makes the alien chase after him. The alien keeps attacking Alex, and just as he is about to deliver the final blow, Cora moves the cannon behind him and fires, destroying him completely. As for Mick and Samantha, they see that the police squad they had earlier seen has been destroyed. When they notice that the aliens are close, they quickly seek shelter while they continue to search for survivors. Despite almost being seen, the two escape detection and attempt to contact for assistance over the radio, but their radio also does not work. They are told by a scientist that the facility has been taken over by the aliens. Since their communication ships were destroyed, it appears that the aliens wanted to use the human satellite to re-establish connection with their home planet. A crew member of the John Paul Jones learns that the aliens' helmets are intentionally designed to reduce the intensity of sunlight. The captain doesn't understand how this will help them win the war, but he does advise Alex that their species probably have low vision and strong light, much like reptiles. With no info on their radars and radios jammed, the crew attempts to find a way to blind the enemy using this information. In order to locate the alien ship, Captain Nagata proposes that they utilize weather buoys positioned across oceans as detectors, monitoring unusually high water displacements. The captain's techniques amaze Alex, who gives him the order to assume charge of the ship since he is obviously an expert at what he's doing. The scientist informs the group that the aliens have been waiting for the satellite to line up with the island so that they may transmit a signal back to their planet. Samantha recommends getting in touch with her fiancé since he has the ability to destroy the whole facility with the battleship. Despite the communication blocks, the scientist thinks this is feasible since he has a gadget at the observatory that can temporarily get around the electromagnetic jamming. One of the aliens sees the man's stealthy entry into his laboratory and surprisingly does not attack him. He manages to take the communications equipment and return to Samantha to establish a connection with the John Paul Jones. In just 4 hours, Samantha informs Alex that they will have to demolish the observatory in order to prevent the aliens from sending back a signal. Before Alex can say anything more, their call is cut off before he can tell her to leave the facility. Alex orders Cora to get the weapons ready right away as the crew notices unusual water shifts on the buoys. They track the aliens' movement patterns and fire 2 missiles at them, but unfortunately miss, which makes their location compromised. The alien starts moving fast in the direction of the battleship, and when they fire again, the missiles miss the target yet again. Unexpectedly, there's another opponent nearby, and it also starts charging at the group. They launch a lot of grenades at the humans, and when the explosives burst on top of their spacecraft, they barely manage to escape the attacks. As Captain Nagata fires, he locks onto both alien ships that continue to close in. This time, the missiles are near enough to hit the opponent simultaneously, resulting in massive explosions that push them into the water. Their joy is short-lived, though, for a third opponent soon comes on the map. Unlike the previous enemy, this one travels erratically, making it difficult to target. In a bold move, Alex steers the battleship in the direction of the islands, placing everyone at risk of capsizing the ship. He waits for the enemy to materialize in front of the rising sun as Nagata and Alex position their sniper rifles. When the enormous spacecraft comes out, the John Paul Jones faces it and is ready to fire. By shooting at the opponent's windscreen, the two of them shatter the glass, letting sunlight in and rendering the aliens unable to see anything. This is the exact moment they have all been waiting for. The battleship unleashes all of its might on the enemy ship, causing it to inevitably explode and sink into the ocean. As the crew rejoices in their triumph, Alex notices the enormous shredders coming their way and knows that something terrible is about to happen. He orders everyone to abandon the ship, but it's too late as the battleship is totally destroyed by the machines, plunging the majority of the crew into the water. As Nagata and Alex flee together, the warship plunges into the sea. In the final moments before the ship is totally destroyed, they leap off the platform. Even if the majority of the crew survives the attack, they still feel powerless because there is nothing further they can do to prevent the enemy now. Alex disagrees, saying they still have a chance since they can use the USS Missouri, a decommissioned battleship. When they get to the enormous ship, Walter worries about how they'll find sufficient personnel to run the machinery given that everything runs on analog and they have little experience with it. But when they notice the retired Navy veterans approaching, they are more than willing to offer to help save humanity from utter annihilation. They rapidly make the necessary adjustments and are able to sail the battleship into the water. When they finally arrive at the enormous machine, they discover to their surprise that it can move. It changes into another spacecraft, complete with several weapons and missile launchers, ready to strike at any second. Before they charge the aliens, Cora is instructed by Alex to aim the cannons towards the ship's side. The enemy is getting ready to fire, so he orders the Missouri to turn to the side as soon as possible. With a grenade barrage, the aliens aim their weapons at the crew and pinpoint their location. Alex cries to throw the anchors, and the enormous weight falls into the water, stopping the ship and causing it to avoid the explosives that were launched. With this advantage, the battleship turns to face the aliens and opens fire with all of its might, hitting the aliens multiple times as they demolish the enormous weaponry of the enemy. The shield that jams the signal and prevents reinforcement breaks down as a result of this. As the satellite gets closer to aligning with the island, the adversary starts to fire out signals in the observatory. As the battleship launches its last volley at the communications center, the aliens on the water attempt to stop the humans by directing their shredders toward them. Before the spaceship can align and send its message, the attack succeeds in destroying the entire facility. The flying shredders are about to hit the Missouri, but a quick save by the fighter jets destroys it. People celebrate seeing that humanity has ultimately prevailed over the invaders. The movie ends with a ceremony to honor the valiant deceased heroes who defended against the aliens. They also honor the soldiers who resisted the invaders, including Mick, who gave the Navy crucial intelligence. Above all, Alex is acknowledged by the Admiral, who gives him a promotion to command his own ship in the future. Meanwhile, in a distant corner of Scotland, an alien hand emerges from a device stumbled upon by schoolchildren, forebodingly indicating that the war is far from concluded. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoy the movie. See you in our next video.